this is David 82. I'm going to start a fictional story here at TikTok. This is a fictional story and does not depict anybody in history or any person. It is similar to anybody. It's purely by accident. Let's start it out. Introduction. Shadows of Kerrville. Summer of 1981. The sun hung low in the wide Texas skies, casting a glow over dusty fields and the thick cedar trees that surrounded the Edwards' new home. A sprawling 30-acre plot nestled just outside the sleepy town of Kerrville. To the untrained eye, it was just another family moving in. Their longhorn cattle already grazing distant pastures, their modest house framed by rusted windmills and wraparound porch. But the truth, as with most things in Kerrville, was buried just beneath the surface. 15-year-old John Edwards had no idea that his world was about to unravel. His father, James, stood at the fence line that morning, boots worn, jeans faded, talking casually with a neighbor about barbed wire and coyotes. His mother, Janet, a small but sharp, was unpacking the boxes and hummed some old tune that neither John nor his older brother Eddie had ever learned the words to. Eddie was already off driving in his beat-up Ford pickup, chasing his ambitions far from the family path. John, the summer would be uneventful, maybe some ranch chores, a part-time job in preparation for the new school year. But Kerrville had other plans. Beneath the surface of this quiet Texas town, two ancient forces warred in secret. The Fold, a centuries-old society of assassins, believed in balance, removing threats, silencing corruption, and eliminating those who sought to bend power for greed and chaos. Theirs was a quiet war, on one that had raged for millennia in the shadows far from the pages of history. James and Janet Edwards had long served the Fold, hiding their roles even from their own sons until now. One day, on the other side of the battle stood the Illuminati, a cabal whose influence stretched back before the age of written history, while the world beneath believed them to be a myth or conspiracy. Their hands-guided government steered fortunes and placed puppets in pulpits and presidency alike. Their mission was simple: control chaos and profit from the confusion. They were everywhere: city council, police precincts, senate floors, even pulpits in small town churches. They fed the rich and starved the truth, ensuring the world stayed just broken enough to keep them on top. And in Kerrville, a town too small for a war this big, both factions had unknowingly converged. It started when John stumbled across the door. It was an unmarked panel in the back of the Kerrville High School gymnasium. Near the janitor's closet, on the surface, it led to a maintenance restroom, long forgotten by time and teenagers. But behind a carefully rigged latch and a hidden biometric lock, it led somewhere else entirely. A full training facility hidden beneath the school. Built decades ago, the Fold saw the town as a potential safe haven. Joe Severinsen ran the facility, now a quiet man who'd once served as a top instructor in the field, but had no taste for politics. He trained the young recruits in weapons, surveillance, infiltration, and most importantly, discretion. And starting that summer, John was among them. As John's training deepened, so too did the unraveling of the world he thought he knew. Friends were no longer just classmates. Lisa Herndon, a bright-eyed daughter of Mayor Mike Ducott, became an unexpected ally and confidant. Mike, a council member of the Fold, played a dangerous role. His wife, Jilly, served as the town's welcome wagon and information broker. Sheriff Scott Taylor, tall, unyielding, saw through the charade. He'd been tracking the Fold for years, convinced they were little more than a violent cult. His wife, Christina, part of a local women's circle, rumored to be more than it seemed. Whispers warning he chose to ignore. The Illuminati's presence was less visible, but no less potent. Nadia Russell, poised and calculating orchestrated movements from the shadows, using technology, influence, and old alliances to choke the Fold's operations. She spent years embedding loyalists in every major structure of power, watching towns like Kerrville for any signs of resistance. But the resistance always comes. There were other quiet operatives like Don A. Hook, who fed intel into both the sheriff and the Fold, always walking a razor-thin line. The Bartell family, Charles, Leona, Lisa, Jeff, traveled often, gathering intelligence from the fringes. Conchetta, the artist, with the penchant of overhearing what others tried to hide. Pete Chris, whose offhand stories at the dinner often contained golden threads of truth. Brad Summers, the IT, who could preach any system in the Tri-County area. Gringo, a younger nurse who never picked sides, but always knew where the bodies were buried. And Kate, the unassuming woman who knew the truth about the nation's wealth and who controlled it. By the time summer ended, John's training was complete, but his journey was just beginning, because factions within both groups had started to splinter. Some wanted revolution now, immediately and violent. Others urged caution, knowing that change too fast would only cause more chaos. The Fold removed these rogue cells when they could. The Illuminati, when their agents grew too visible, made them disappear. And in the middle of it all was John Edwards, a teenager, a rancher's son, a killer in training. The stories of how he navigated this world, how he learned to trust, how he learned who to trust, who to fight, and how far he's willing to go to change the world, begins here in Kerrville, in the shadows, in the Fold, in the future. Thank you. Like, share, follow, and please remember you are loved and there's nothing you can do about it. Thank you.